Okay guys, today we're going to be drawing this little raccoon. Although I think we're going to just focus on his face today, and another time we'll go back and draw a whole raccoon. But today I want to talk about his face and drawing something that is facing forward, like a raccoon, a cat, dogs, people. You follow the same process for each of those, and we're going to talk about it today. And so that eventually, when you're just picking up a picture and want to draw it on your own, or looking at something outside, or even something in your home and want to just draw it on your own, you'll know what steps to follow to make it easier to do. Okay, so this is our little raccoon. I love raccoons. They are so cute and so inquisitive, and I think they're really neat animals. So I'm going to start, like we always do, I'm going to start with the shape that I see. So I'm ignoring his body today. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just looking at his head. So what shape do you see for his head? I see sort of an oval shape. His head seems to go wide. You know, we could even ignore his little nose for now. Ignore this part. So if I don't think about that, but just the shape of his head, not his ears or anything, it is an oval like this on its side, isn't it? So that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to start with a nice oval here. I'm going to fold this paper back so that it is not in our way. There we go. That works better. Okay, so I'm going to start with this oval because I want to get this on the paper. And maybe you want to, so my paper is horizontal, but you could turn your paper this way and make your oval go that way. I'm going to leave mine this way because that's how I started. But either way, you can see by drawing this shape lightly, you can see how it's going to fit on the page, right? That's part of the reason we do that, is to make sure it's going to fit where we want it to be. So maybe something like that. Now I see he's got this little round muzzle here, doesn't he? Almost a circle. I'm going to put that right in the center, right about there. I'm not going to worry about the ears yet. So the next thing I would do is I'm going to place his eyes on there. And in doing that, it will help me see maybe I made this part too wide. So in order to place his eyes, I'm going to draw what I call guidelines. If you look at this raccoon and any animal that's forward facing, like a dog, a cat, let me think what else, a monkey, things that face forward, you can draw a line straight down the center. He's looking straight at us, so I can for sure draw this line straight down the center, and that's going to be the middle of his nose. Do you see that? That's just cutting right down the center there. And then his eyes could fit on another guideline this way, couldn't they? And if I look at how far down his eyes are, they look like they're actually a little more than halfway down, aren't they? So I'll go a little more than halfway, and I'm going to draw another line like that. And these are light because I'm going to erase these later too. So I have these two guidelines, and maybe sometime when you've drawn a person, you might have drawn these because people face forward. Our eyes are, in the front of our face. Unlike another animal, might be a rabbit or a deer or a horse, their eyes are more on the sides of their heads. But people and some animals we have our eyes on the front of our heads. And so you might have used this technique to draw a person's face, but you can use it for animals too. So I have these lines, and this one showing me the center of the face vertically up and down, and this line showing me side to side. So I'm going to put the eyes on here. I might start though. So I'm going to start with how wide this nose is. So I see it's going on both sides. So I'm going to go both sides. And I I see his nose is about this wide. And remember, if I'm the little bug crawling along this picture, it goes out a little bit and then it goes in a little bit, doesn't it? So I'm going to go out a little bit and in a little bit and out a little bit and in a little bit. Then his nose down here, I'm going to come down. So this circle was this whole thing. So now I can come down and look, it curves in a little bit. It curves in a little bit. Curves in, and that's going to be his real nose. There's his real nose right there. I'm going to put that right there. Now for his eyes, I have this to sort of guide me, this stripe down the center of his face. So I see that there's a little curve here. So if this is his nose, I'm going to put it, it comes up on the stripe and curves. And look, that's the bottom of his mask right here. Do you see that? And the other side matches. So I'm going to start down here, go up, and I had a good guideline here, didn't I? That was about right. And it's going to curve there. So that means his mask then goes up a little bit. And I know his eye is going to go on this line somewhere. So I'm going to go up and look, the mask goes out right there on a little diagonal line, a slanted line there, and then it's going to go down. So I'm going to go out, and then I'm going to go down. And this is the bottom of the mask. I already drew that. And now it's going to go, it looks like a slanted line up that way, doesn't it? So I know now where his eye can go. His eye is very close to that diagonal line. So I'm going to put, his eye is going to be on this line. That's my guideline for his eye. It's close to the top of the mask, isn't it? And it's close to that diagonal. So that gives me a lot of clues of where to put this eye. And it looks like a very round eye. So I'm going to give him his little eye right there. Now the next side matches. So I'm going up here. I'm going to go up like that slanty line. I'm going to go across. This goes down just a little bit. Notice I'm not worrying about the sides of the face. I'm going to come back and fix those. I'm just trying to get these eyes in the right place. And I'm going to bring this down, and it's going to touch this. This was the bottom of my mask. So that's going to go up like that. Something like that. And this eye, again, is close to the top of the mask, close to this part of the mask inside here. So I'll put it right about there. So your face should look something like this. This raccoon has a lot of slanted lines, doesn't he, in his mask? Lots of slants. These are curves right here. And you know what's fun is we wouldn't have even thought about it unless we were drawing him. But in drawing him, we get to see all these details. I think my raccoon's forehead right here is a little small. I think it probably should go up higher. So I'm going to be the little bug and crawl along these lines, and that'll give me a clue. So if I'm starting here, I'm going to start here and move up like this, across. That dark patch sort of goes across. And then it will go across the other way. That's that dark patch. But you can see, look how short my guy's forehead is compared to all this space here. So I can see I need to probably come up to about here. But that's okay because I drew those lines lightly. I can erase them, which is what I think I will do now. I can get rid of a lot of these guidelines now. I can get rid of this one down the center of his face. I can get rid of the one the eyes are sitting on. I'm not going to worry about it in the eye because I'm going to color that in. I can get rid of this old forehead. the top of his head because it should be much higher. And I can get rid of some of this around his nose. Let's go back to his nose for a minute. My guy's missing ears, but that's okay. I'm going to go back to his nose to show you. So here's the nose. I like where this nose is. I think it's in a good spot. But look at this guy's nose. It is right at the bottom. I mean, it touches the bottom of this muzzle here. So my circle down here was too long. Do you see that? So I am going to make this much shorter. So it's like he had too big of a muzzle down here. I guess that's what you would call it. There we go. So see how I made that much shorter. And it wasn't hard because I drew it very lightly. Actually, looking at his nose, I made mine round like the eyes. But look, his nose isn't really a circle. Do you see? As I look at this picture, I see it slants up there. So it's actually wider down here and thinner up near the top. So I'm going to change the shape of his nose. I'm going to make it smaller at the top and wider at the bottom. And you know, since I'm here, I'm going to color it in. And I see that it's got some highlights there, so I could leave those or color them in. I think I'll leave. I don't know. If it looks strange, I might just color them all the way in. Maybe I'll just, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to color the rest of his nose very dark. So then, let's add his ears. So his ears, here I'm coming along. Okay, let's go back to here. This is the side of his face where his mask ends. That's right here. And if I'm coming up that side, look, that's where I hit the ear. So I'm going to follow the side of the mask, and I'm going to come up that side, and that's where that part of the ear comes in. And this one's going to go around a little bit to the top of the head. So sort of about like that, I think. All this out here is this wonderful furry fluff. And I have that on the face, but I can make that all this wonderful furry fluff here. And then on the other side, the ear, let me see. Here's the side of his face, right? I'm ignoring this wonderful fluff. I come up, I hit the edge of the ear. So that's way down here. So I'm going to come up, hit the edge of the ear. And I want it to be about the same height as that one. So I'm going to bring it up. So there's his other ear. Now to make sure I have them in the right spot, I'm going to pay attention to the space between them. See how much space is between them? And I think that's about right. That's pretty close. And then I can get rid of this extra line. I'm just drawing all kinds of lines on him, aren't I? Because they're all helpful. They help me see where to place something else. And this would all be this wonderful fluff. Okay, so that's pretty good. I think I'm pretty happy with him there. I'm going to, I don't know, maybe his head could be a little higher. When I record these, I sort of drawing them at a little bit of a weird angle, so it's hard to see exactly till I stand over and think, oh, he's a little bit non-symmetrical, but hopefully he's okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do his eyes because he's got these beautiful inquisitive eyes. I'm coloring them in. I'm leaving the catch light. The catch light is that highlight, that white dot in the eye where the sun is reflecting. I'm leaving the catch light in his eyes. Looks like it's sort of off to the side on either one. He's looking a little bit. So you can move this catch light wherever you want. He's looking a little cross-eyed. I might move it more so they match up a little better. And the catch light can be as big or as small as you want, but the catch light makes your animal look more alive. So there's that. Now I can go back and color in his mask. I do want to leave a little bit of gray around the eyes because if I color his mask very dark, it will be hard to see his eyes, wouldn't it? So I can lightly go around it with my pencil, and then I can color this in as dark as I want. When I color the mask, I usually make the pencil marks go the same direction as the fur would be going, which the fur is going out away from the nose. He's got this little bit of fur going up there too. You can add, see how the fur is, it's going out away from the eye, away from the nose. And I can go back and make this as dark as I want. I might use a darker pencil sometime. But see, having that little bit of gray around the eye makes the eye show up better. And again, you can go back and make the eyes darker too. This down here, oh, this was part of his mask. Yes, so I need to color that in too. So I see now the shape of his mask. I may not have ever noticed that before. He's got a little bit of coloring right here, so maybe I'll do that a little gray. Then this line I don't need. This is all just this wonderful fur, and I can even see the lines for the fur on there. I'm not going to put a lot of lines in here because this is the lighter part of his coat. In order to keep it looking lighter, I don't want as many marks in this. But looking here, I see the fur goes up and down right there by his eye. Then it turns to go out over there. I think his nose needs to be rounder down here. Let's see. I think that's pretty good. You can add all kinds of fur coming down here. Then I would do the same to the other side. Well, you can do the nose too. The nose is dark. We can color that in. I'm going up and down with my coloring because that's how the fur would be going. I like to make my pencil lines, they're not really brush strokes, are they? Go in the same direction that the fur would be going. So it's going up that way. I'm going to do the other eye. I'll make it a little bit of gray around the eye because I want to be able to see the eye even though I make this very dark. So I'm coloring outward because that's the way the fur would be going. Here I'm kind of going up and down. He's got that little mark above his eye. You can make this as dark as you can. If I were coloring this in for a finished drawing, I would probably make these even darker. I would want this to be all filled in, because that's what raccoons are known for. They're known for their masks. So I would make all that more filled in. And then I would add the extra hair here. This, you can make the mask look furry on the end by adding extra little lines. I'm switching pencils because that one's getting a little dull. Make little lines like this, and see, we have the fur on the mask too that way. And you can follow your reference photo and see how to add that in. I do want to keep these eyes very round looking because that is part of the charm of their little beady eyes. I can go back in, make this much darker. See, even though he's got a dark mask, you can still see his very dark eyes. Add that, some more fur that way. I made that other side furry, so I'm going to make this side end in fur. See, I made it more jaggedy, so it looks like fur. And now we have this whole part up here. And this, I would probably draw it in as fur, like this. I think maybe his head is maybe still not high enough, but that's okay. And the way I would draw it in as fur is by making my lines go in the same direction the fur would go. The ear is actually starts below the head. It's not sitting on top of the head. Do you see? This is the top of his head, so top of his head goes behind the ear. So I'm drawing this fur, and you can see how I'm changing my pencil marks to go in the direction that the fur would go. And I'm trying to keep these videos not too long because they're supposed to be quick drawing exercises. So I might not do as much fur as I normally would do. If I were trying to do a very finished piece, I would take a lot longer doing all this fur. I actually love drawing fur. Some people do not like drawing fur, but I do not mind it at all. I think the repetition of of drawing it is very soothing. So I'm looking at this and I want him to look furrier there. I don't want him to have these lines. So I'm going to get rid of these lines I drew, my little guidelines there. And I'm going to try to bring the dark part of his head down a little more. I'm looking at my reference just to see. I see he's got that little dark spot, but then this comes down a lot further. Down there. And then I can also take my finger if I want to just fill it in. Because I want this to look dark up here, I can fill it in like that. I can also, if I want it darker, one way to make your fur appear even darker is to do more layers. More layers. I'm overlapping this fur. So in some areas it does look darker than in others, and the way I'm going to do that is by giving it another layer of lines. And these lines are short, like I said, because you want to, if he had long flowing fur, I would make long flowing lines, but he doesn't, so I'm keeping the lines short. I'm going to give him a little fur back here on the back of his ear. You can see the back of his ear a little bit. I'm going to actually make the top of his head a little fuzzier too. I want him, he's a pretty fuzzy little raccoon. I'll give him some extra fur. So I'm just erasing those solid lines I had and making them look more furry. And we do need to darken in his ears a little bit. They are dark here. So what I might do is I could do it with a pencil, or I could just do it with my finger like this and darken it in this way. And he's got few lighter pieces going that way. I think I want to make it a little darker still. So maybe I'm going to do a little bit of graphite in there and color it in. You can see the smudges on my paper. So one thing I could have done to keep the smudges away is to put another paper here and rest my hand on that. I didn't do that, so I'm going to erase those at the end. But if you find yourself smudging your paper because you get some graphite on your hand, you can just put another piece there when you're drawing, and that will keep your drawing safe. Okay, so then I'm going to get some more graphite, put it inside that ear. These little hairs here are white, so I'm going to keep that part a little brighter. I might do this one more time with some graphite, kind of shade it in, rub it in a little darker. You can go as dark as you want. My guy looks a little sad. I don't know if it's his eyes. Maybe it's the way I did this fur here. He sort of has a sad expression. Hopefully yours looks a little happier. I see this stripe is very wide compared to that, so I might go back and take a little bit of that off. It gets quite thin at the top of this stripe, doesn't it? More like that. Maybe that's why he looked a little sad. But I don't want just a floating raccoon head. I don't want just the head there. So I'm going to give him at least a little bit of a neck. We're not doing his whole body today, but we'll give him a neck. I think part of his sadness might be in the shape of his eye, I think. Okay, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to give this guy a neck. So I'm just going to make him, I'm not going to give him a skinny neck because he's maybe sitting up and just being cute and fluffy. So I'm just going to make some fluffy lines on either side. His nose, I see, this was a little off. Like I said, it's a little hard sometimes for me to draw because I'm trying to stay out of the way of the lights, and so my angle's a little off, but so once in a while you may see something that should be symmetrical that is not quite right. But I can give him some fur like this, and it just indicates his neck and his body, and he is gray, so I could even color that in a little bit like that. Oh, you know what else? I think it's having such a sharp line there. I don't think I need that. It should go more into the side of his face. So that was part of the problem too. You know, so that's why having a reference helps, so you can see where things aren't quite right. And then you can work on it to make your drawing more believable. You can see I'm having a little bit of a struggle down here, because even people who have been drawing a long time, you know, they may erase, they may change things, because drawing is about seeing. And as I go along, I may see something that I didn't see at first, and so I may want to change it. I think I might just lighten this up on top of his nose and give him a little bit of a highlight on his nose there. And so that's why even very experienced artists may change their drawing quite a bit, because as they go, they see things that they didn't see before. So there is my little raccoon. I hope you had fun drawing this one, and I'll see you tomorrow.